Well, I am a little bit surprised that he fell that far, but I think it is because he came out as being an openly gay man now. I find it almost impossible to believe that there are 248 better NFL prospects coming out of college than Michael Sam. But I also accept the NFL's argument that he might be what they call a tweener. He's not quite big enough to play defensive end, and maybe he's a little too small and a little too slow to play outside linebacker. So that's all possible. But when the announcement came down, I think it's ridiculous, the negative reaction to it. I even heard a radio guy in Dallas today saying that he would have been equally upset if a star quarterback had kissed his beautiful girlfriend on national TV, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous, just as ridiculous as the negative reaction to Michael Sam kissing his boyfriend is, at least to me.
Well, Ken, I think you might disagree with this. What was your reaction to seeing that kiss?
Well, I thought the kiss was inappropriate and over the top, but I am just surprised with the duplicity among the owners and leadership of the NFL. I take it was just a few years ago when there were players who criticized Tim Tebow for wearing his faith on his sleeve. There were folks who basically said he was not a good football player. That's why they were critical of him, not because he was a professed Christian who practiced his faith in all aspects of his life. I really do question the network's judgment, editorial judgment, in putting the kiss on TV. Look, this is a very clear opportunity for Mr. Sam and others to co-opt professional sports, in this case the NFL, as a platform and as a force multiplier for advancing their agenda. And I say, look, he should make the team or not make the team based on his football skills. And I don't think that if you look at his numbers that he, in fact, surfaced during the combine, that he was more than an average football player. His time in the 40 wasn't that astonishing and that competitive. His lateral movement and a whole host of other things. His start off of the ball. There were serious questions that serious football minds had about his talent.
But let me ask you this.
Hold on. Let me just say that I hope he hasn't created a political prophylactic that will shield his inability to make the team as a football player, because he is an advocate for a lifestyle.
Dale, it sounds like Ken thinks that Michael Sam wants to make himself cut-proof just by coming out as gay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever heard Michael Sam say that. All I've ever heard Michael Sam say is he wants to be judged as a football player. And the gentleman is right. There are some serious questions about his ability to transfer from college to the NFL. And I think that's one of the reasons that he was a seventh-round pick. And now I'm hoping he gets the chance to be judged on his merits. But I constantly hear this reference to Tim Tebow. Has he really forgotten about Tebow mania? Tebow mania swept this country for a couple of years. And the only reason that he's not playing after being a first-round draft pick is because he's another one of those guys who couldn't make the move from college to the NFL and play quarterback at the level they required. Michael Sam, as I said last night in a commentary, might very well be the next college superstar that'll suffer the same fate. All I want and all I think he wants is the opportunity, and the St. Louis Rams have given him that now.
And I would agree that if he, in fact, has the opportunity to make it on his football skills, that should be the determining factor, and that has always been my view. I was surprised, and I wasn't born yesterday. That was well orchestrated yesterday. That wasn't just a spontaneous expression of joy.
Well, let me ask you this.
Everybody does that. Everybody does that. There are you think when Johnny Manziel walked on stage and started snapping his fingers, giving the money sign, you think he didn't think about that? Players at almost every draft have orchestrated some aspect of a celebration. This happened to be Michael Sam's way of celebrating something that an openly gay man had never had the opportunity to do before.